What's up, guys? Steven here with Way Up West Outdoors, and we're back in the Woo studio. And today we are talking about my hunting setup. We just finished up 3D season, and I made a couple changes to this bow. This is the bow that I run all through 3D season, all the competitions that we do. This is it. I make a couple minor changes that we'll go over as I go over the bow. But been running this bow. This is the Mach 34. Been running this bow for this will be the second year now. Last 3D season, last hunting season, and all through this 3D season, this is the bow I've been shooting. The Mach 34. It's a carbon bow, as you can see. It's a about just over 3.5 pounds, I think, right, bare bow. And as it sits with all the accessories on it right now, with all the weight I've added and whatnot, it's 7 pounds 10 ounces. So pretty moderate, nothing crazy, just pretty middle of the road weight bow. It's a 34-inch axle to axle, hence the name. I've got 70 pounds limbs on it and EC2 cams. The limbs are completely bottomed out, and it's sitting about 70 pounds. And these EC2 cams go from a 26.5-inch draw length to a 32-inch draw length. My draw length is 31 inches, so I'm using almost the entire cam, which is fortunate for me. I got these big long ape arms, which helps me out in archery. The brace height on this bow is a very forgiving 7 1/4. So the speeds that I'm getting out of this bow and that brace height is super, super awesome. I've got 80% let off on this bow. The lower let off percentages seem to just be a little bit more accurate. So a little higher holding weight, but no big deal. Nothing you're really ever going to notice. The strings I got on this bow are Apex custom strings from Jesse Smith. And he's a local guy here from Idaho Falls. And he makes a freaking awesome string. We've been running his strings since he started making strings a few years ago. And they've been awesome from the get-go. We've run them through snow, heat, sleet, rain, hail, all the conditions, and nothing ever moves. He's figured it out. He makes some really good strings, and if you guys need some really high quality strings, check him out. His lead times aren't terrible for a custom set of strings for a local small business. He is the man. He's a heck of a shooter. He knows how to walk the walk and talk the talk. He's the manager down in Pocatello at Archery, Idaho. So if you need to see a guy who knows what the heck he's talking about, go see him. Anyways, moving on. On these Apex strings, I got my D-loop. I got a nose button. I like having this as another reference point and just kind of a reminder to stay in your peep. If my nose is coming off that nose button, I'm coming out of my peep. It's just another reminder, because if you've been you aim for very long, you kind of realize your head will start to drift and your peep and your sight won't line up. I do think the nose button helps that out a little bit, and I think it keeps my head in a little bit more neutral position, keeps my head a little more upright. Instead of trying to find the string by dipping my head, it keeps me up just a little bit better, keeps you in the peep. I'm running a podium peep on here that I was running 3D season. I was going to change it to a Raptor peep, but I liked it during 3D season. I'll probably just throw a little bit bigger aperture in there to see a little easier in lower light situations. But unless it gives me problems, that's probably the peep I'm going to run this year, just because it's already set, tied in really well, and it's been coming back straight. So unless it gives me issues, that's going to stay on the bow. Moving on, I've got the bars on the bottom here. I've got a back bar and front bar. These are the Mountain Series from AAE. I've got 10 ounces on the back and 5 ounces in the front. That's not totally set yet. Still probably going to play with that just a little bit, just through these back bars on. So I'll probably tweak that a little bit till it balances just right, and until I get to where I'm happy. But that's a good starting point for me right now. I took a few ounces off from 3D season. I think I was running 13 in the back and 6 up front, if I remember right, on an 18-inch bar, and that seemed to be pretty happy with that. I did change that from 3D season. I was running an 18-inch bar for 3D season. I shortened it up to a 15-inch bar for hunting season. Not a major change, but just a little bit. I do like the 15-inch bar. I thought it would get in the way. I thought it'd be a pain in the butt during hunting season, but I've been running a longer bar for a couple of years now, and I've yet to be in a situation where it's in the way. And actually, I don't think I'll ever go back to a shorter bar, strictly because of this reason right here. It's a good handle. I like to hike with my bow on my back like this, and it's a good handle to keep the bow balanced. A shorter bar would be really, really annoying to hold all the way up here and try to keep it balanced. But I can, with the backpack on, a lot of times I can just kind of rest my fingers here and the bow stays. So that's a pretty good perk for the bigger bar. That's going to stay on my bow. Moving on, I've got the drop away here, and it's a pro drop from AAE. It's their limb-driven rest. I've been really happy with this rest. I've got the I think it's called pig hide on there. It's their silent dampening system. I got a couple sets for backups, and I put that on I think 2 years ago, and I've got the same pig hide on that rest since I put it on. It doesn't wear out. It's been on there. It's been awesome. It's been quiet. Jess runs a cable-driven rest. I like limb-driven. She likes to be able to just click up the cable-driven rest, and it just stays in place. I like a limb-driven rest because it's a little bit, I can tinker with it. I can adjust the pitch of the rest. I can adjust when it comes up, when it goes down. It's just a little more customizable for, being able to tinker with your bow and find those groups just a little bit better. So yeah, I've been happy with that rest, and it's gonna stay on my bow for hunting season. It's the same rest I was running for 3D as well. For my sight, I've got the Excel landslide on here now with a carbon bar attached to the side of the bow. This sight I've been running for a couple years. It's been tougher than nails. I did break the light shroud off, so I got another one of those coming. But this is one of the things I changed from 3D season. 3D season I was running a B3 Exact 3D sight and a shrewd scope and a single pin on there. And that's strictly just so I don't choose the wrong pin during a competition and, drop unnecessary points. For hunting season, I do run 3 pins, 20, 30, 40. My bottom pin is an 010. It's a really micro pin, and that is my slider is the bottom pin. I know some people like to run their top pin as their slider. I think it's silly because if your top pin is 20 and you want to shoot 45, you got to go a long ways to hit 45. From your top pin, you got to pass 30 and 40, which you already have, to get to 45, and you're losing a lot of that bottom. You might be bottomed out at like 70 or 80 yards with that top pin just because you run out of room on your slider. The bottom pin, you can gap 20 and 30, you can gap 30 and 40 super easy. Once you start getting to 47, 48, 52, I like being able to adjust my pin. And for a hunting situation, between 20, 30, and 40, gapping is super easy. Even out to 45, I feel comfortable holding over and shooting without having to slide. Once you start passing that 45 yards, for me, I like to be able to adjust. And if the animal is further than 45 yards out, there's a really good chance that you have the time to reach up and the ability to move a little bit to reach up and move your pins. It's worked out so far, and we haven't run into issues. It hasn't been the cause of us not getting an animal yet. So me and Jess both run the same system, and it's been working really, really well. Moving on, the quiver I got on here is a 5 arrow tight spot. The thing I think is 8 years old or something like that. It's seen a lot of different bows at this point. It's getting held together by spit, electrical tape, and super glue. It's been a great quiver. I've made some small modifications on it to, help me out a little bit better. It might see an upgrade this year just because it's seen better days, and I've beat the hell out of it. Might be just time for a new quiver. Inside the quiver, I've got the Black Eagle X Impacts. This is the only other thing that really changed from my 3D setup. I was running the Black Eagle Carnivores, and the only reason I was running those is they're just a touch lighter and a touch bigger diameter, so you can catch a few more lines. They're still a standard hunting shaft, but they're just a little bit bigger than these micro diameter shafts. Been really happy with the X Impacts. They fly really well. They hit where I'm aiming. I got no complaints with them so far. I do run a Victory outsert on the front of these. It does take a little bit of some really fine sandpaper to sand down the front of this shaft and then slide down the Victory outsert on the front of it. It seems to be just super straight. I do like these outserts. I've run Victory arrows in the past, and I've really grew to like these outserts. The insert portion goes down way down into the arrow, and so it feels really durable to me. They stay really straight, and they spin really well. So this is a 50 grain outsert, and then I've got the 100 grain 1.5 sever on the front. Idaho is still pretty new to the expandable game, and so am I. I'm still new to the expandable game as well. These severs are the only expandables I've shot so far, and I've been really happy with them, so I don't really plan on changing or tinkering with anything else yet. We got archery elk hunts this year, we got archery deer hunts this year, we got archery antelope hunts this year, and this is the arrow that I'm going to use for everything. Elk to antelope, It's flying at 300 feet per second, and I'm not concerned with it at all. An 1.5-inch cutting diameter is awesome. Like I said, I used to shoot fixed blades that were 7/8 inch or even an inch in diameter, and that was plenty for me. So I don't really think I need to go up to the 1.75 or even the 2-inch. It kind of feels like a whitetail thing to me. Ton of cutting. I just don't really feel like I need to push 2 inches of blade through an elk. 1.5 is gonna do the job, in my opinion. If you disagree, comment, let me know. On the back, I'm running the AE Hybrids 23s. This is one thing that might change as well. I might change the AE Maxes. I was running the Maxes for 3D season this year, the 23s, and the arrows flew really well. It seemed to cut the wind pretty good, so I might change. That's yet to be seen. I don't know yet. We'll figure it out. And on the very back, I got the pin bushings and the AE pin nocks. The only really reason I'm running pin bushings is they give me a warm and fuzzy, but the nock is pushing on the arrow super even. And then also the couple 3D shoots that I have left that I'll be shooting my hunting arrows. If somebody hits the back of my arrow, those pin bushings is like a body armor. It's going to save my arrow. Yeah, that's my setup for this year. But I ran it last year, so it's not really anything new or too exciting. I didn't change anything for this year. I do have some grip tape on there. I like to kind of set my hand that it doesn't move, especially if it's raining or I'm sweaty or hot or something like that. I do have a little bit of grip tape there. Other than that, that's it, guys. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, comments, gripes, like, subscribe, comment, whatever you got. Good luck this hunting season, and we'll catch you on the next one.